Ecclesiastes chapter 11. And I've enjoyed this book. I hope you guys have too. There's been times it's been hard, but then there's been times it's been encouraging, and then there's times it's been extremely practical. And today's sermon is going to be one of those very practical sermons. It's going to deal, we haven't talked a lot about it in Ecclesiastes, but Solomon's now ending his book, and he's going to start talking, he's going to close a little bit in this chapter about talking about money and finances and income, but it's deeper than that. So those are some of the analogies that he uses. And so we're going to talk about that too. Try to explain some of it. This Ecclesiastes has a lot of analogies and metaphors, and when you read it, you're like, I don't have a clue what that means. Like the very first verse of this first chapter talks about throwing your bread out on the water. You're like, well, that's just going to make it soggy and feed ducks. I don't quite understand that. But we're going to try to walk through that. But once you understand the metaphors, the analogy, the culture of that time, you can then translate it into something from today. So today's sermon title is called No Risk, No Rewards. No risk, no rewards. And I subtitled it, Where Has Your Faith Stopped? Let's read with me in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, starting in verse 1. We're going to do the first 6 verses today. It says this: Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you know not what disaster may happen on earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves on the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. Verse 5, I love verse 5. As you do not know the way the Spirit comes to the bones in the womb of a woman with child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. I put in my Bible on top of that, I put no abortion. And I put in my Bible, unborn equals life. There's a verse right there that says that is when the child is in the mother's womb, in the bones, that God sends the spirit of that person in that moment. So that child's alive in God's eyes. And there's a verse right there that shows us that. Verse 6. In the morning, sow your seed, and at evening withhold not your hand. For you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be good. Heavenly Father, I ask once again that you unpack these verses, that you pierce our hearts. And Father, I pray that you'll help me. That Lord, you put your grace on me and mercy. I'm often the least to be able to preach and speak your word. So I need your help. Lord, I lean into you, just you. I pray that as we study this morning together as a family, that we'll learn from you, we'll hear from you, and Lord, that we'll be doers of the word this morning. Lord, just touch our hearts. We love you, we need you. In Jesus' name, amen. There was once an old man who loved playing golf. He was about 80 years old, and his vision had turned out to not be good anymore. So he'd always had partners with him. Someone that would go as he would play, and they were younger. And so that as he would hit the ball, their one job was to what? Watch the ball. So they could tell this old man where he had hit the ball. And he would go, and a day came around. It was a beautiful day. He had a tee time, and he went to his golf course, and he waited and waited and waited. None of his buddies, none of his friends came that day to help him so he could see where the ball was. And as he was sitting there waiting at the clubhouse, and you could see that over the period of the day he was getting frustrated. And so this other older gentleman walked up to him and said, "Hey man, what's wrong?" And he said, "Well, it's a beautiful day. I wanted to play golf. I've got my tee time, but my vision isn't good anymore. I can't see like I used to, and I need somebody to help me watch the ball after I hit it." Now, the old man said all this, and the other man that came up to him said, "You know what? I'll go with you. My vision is 20/20. And the old man said, okay, well, how old are you? He said, I'm 92. So he was 12 years older than the other man. He said, well, my vision's 20/20. Don't worry about it. I can see. I got eyes like a hawk. He said, I'll be glad to ride with you today. I'll show you where it is. We'll have a good time. They drove up to the very first tee, and the older man set it up, and the other man sat and watched. And he set it up, got it going. The old man said, "You watching? You watching?" He said, "Yeah. I'm watching." So the older man swung and hit the ball, and it went straight down the fairway. And they're both watching and watching. The older man said, "I've watched it." And so he turned to the old guy that was supposed to be watching the ball, and he said, "Look, can you tell me where my ball went? Did you see it?" And the other man said, "Yeah, I saw it all the way until it stopped rolling." The other old man said, "Tell me where it went." The old man who was supposed to be watching said, "Well, now I forgot." See, it wasn't about just the vision. See, sometimes, guys, I say that for this. I read that and I thought that was funny because sometimes we make plans. Or we have a plan. And I don't know about you, but sometimes plans don't always go as planned. Or they don't go as well as you thought they would. Or you thought you had it all figured out, and then when you get there, you realize, I didn't know anything. I've been working at a job this last month or so that's humbled me a lot. Because you go in there and think you know what you're doing, or you think you got it all figured out, and then things happen and you go, man, I wasn't prepared like I should have been, or I didn't see that coming, or I didn't know that was going to happen, or man, this is going to help me for next time. You know what? Just lose it, learn it, and go on. Life is a lot like that. And Solomon this morning in these 6 verses, that's his point this morning, is that when you plan, God says make plans. We need to make plans. We need to have order to our lives and have not just chaotic. Some people just live in a world of mess. They don't have any schedule. They don't have any order. They just kind of always, they don't know what's going on. And God says, listen, it's okay to not just be concrete in things, but you need to have a system. You need to have an order. Plan your life. But Solomon says the best way to make plans is in pencil. Don't make plans in pen, make plans in pencil. So that way if God changes things or erases things, you're flexible to move things around. So plan your life in pencil and not pen. But even the best laid plans don't always pan out. So I want to say this morning, Solomon says this is what we have to do, is we don't play it safe in life. We're going to have to sometimes take risk. And I'm not saying that you blindly, ignorantly just do things. But Solomon's going to teach us how we can, in an unsure world, place our confidence in the Lord and then make the best decision possible. Have you ever been in those moments where you're faced with a decision or you've got a choice that you have to make? There's no getting around it. Either it's business, job, career, marriage, kids, something of that nature where a choice has to be made. And you've prayed, Lord, show me the answer. Give me the right choice. I want to do the right thing. I want to know what your will is for me. Please show me. Give me a sign. I need to know. Do I go left? Do I right? Do I go right? Do I have Captain Crunch or Reese's Puffs? Some people go that crazy. But you do. But I'm talking serious matters.
Wow.
Serious matters. I read a book where a lady thought it was that detailed. That God, she had to pray. You don't. And we're going to go into that here in a minute. But life is full of moments and decisions, big ones, where we have to go to the Lord and say, Lord, here's my options, here's my choice, here's my plan. I'm seeking your guidance and wisdom and help to lead me to the right one. But Solomon says this too, as you do that, as Christians, we have some things that other people, one, we have the Holy Spirit. We have God's Spirit inside us to help us, to speak to us, to teach us, to lead us, to guide us. Also, God gave us common sense. He gave us a brain, ability to think and process information and choose. Thirdly, He gave us the Word of God, that way in the decision we can balance what's right and what's wrong. Is the decision that you're going to make, is it ungodly? Is it unwise? Is it unhealthy? So there's many things that we can go to when we're making a decision. As Solomon says that when you do that, these are the things that we think about. So this morning, We're going to talk about Solomon says you're going to have to step out on faith, but at the same time, take some risk. And sometimes faith is kind of risky in itself, isn't it? You're not sure what it's going to be, what's going to happen. There's some people, I know Steve can probably relate to this. This is a big step right now in their season of life. Is a big risk and big faith. Big faith and a big risk. And that's what life is. And so, and same with Chad and Julie, they're facing some decisions. And I think people in all areas of life, they face this way. So this morning, I hope that God's Word will equip you to maybe help you make decisions, to follow through, and to be comfortable with the direction that God is leading you. Verses 1 and 2, the first thing that Solomon says, no risk, no rewards, is number one, is that you need to diversify your investments. Put your investments in different things. Put your time, your talent, and treasure in different things. As it said in an old saying, don't put all your eggs in what? One basket. Diversify your investments. Look at verses 1 and 2. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a portion to 7 or even to 8, for you know not what disaster may happen on earth. So here's Solomon. He's going to give us some practical stuff. And so he throws out something in verse 1 that we all understand, right? We all get this saying, don't we?
Yes.
It totally makes sense. No, it didn't. It took me some studying and some understanding, because even when I read it, a couple different people had some different views, but the same thing that I came to understand is this is a nautical statement. This is the people that, like a navy, that drive boats and on waters and trade and merchants. So let me break this down for you in a second. In your word there, what is Solomon's point? You see the word cast, very first word? Cast your bread upon the waters. That word is actually send. It's actually translated send. So it says send your bread upon the waters. And this is talking about sea trade. How did people get stuff around in Solomon's day? If they wanted something, what did they do? They traded for it. So say Solomon and his other king across the ocean had, they supplied this and he supplied that. How did they do it? They loaded up their ships and they traded. Guys, we still do that today. It's called import and export. My big thing at my house, for some weird reason, my kids, I don't understand. Every time we buy something, they go, was that made in China? I'm like, why does that matter? They go, everything's made in China. And I don't know where that's coming from, but they're understanding that not everything is made here. We get things from over there. And other places get things from us. Same in Solomon's day. So follow me with that kind of logic. Here's what he's saying. He says, I'm going to read it one more time. Cast your bread, or send your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. The merchants of Solomon's day would load their grain ships and send them off. So here's the thing. The Israelites were casting their bread upon the water. So this is what he meant. That as traders, as merchants, they would take their ship, they would load up all the grain, put it on the ship, and then they would send it off to another country. So in reality, all their bread is being sent out on the water. That's what it means. They're loading up their ships and they're sending out the grain. Okay, y'all with me? It says, put your wheat in several ships. Because if you see there, it says, cast your bread upon the what? What's the next word? Does it say water or waters?
Waters.
Why? Why?
So not multiple waters.
Exactly. Load up multiple ships and send them out many different ways. Solomon is saying, be wise. Because if you just send out one ship with one thing on it, if it runs into a storm, what happens? You lose it all. But if you can load many ships with many things and send them many different ways, your chance of success is what? More likely to happen. You're more likely to succeed. So Solomon's getting very practical here with us in life. See, and sometimes in the Bible there's things that are really deep and really spiritual and really emotional. And then sometimes the Bible is just saying, look, we need to meet you where you live. This is just daily practical applications, because sometimes Christians, this is where we lose it. We love the terminology and the theology, and I love getting those things too, but sometimes we need to remember what it means to live as a Christian. How to do business as a Christian. How to make and spend and save money as a Christian. How to be married as a Christian. How to go to church. How to have friendships. How to have fights. How to argue. How to dispute. How to be angry. These are all things that we experience and feel, and the Bible says, as Christians, as followers of Jesus Christ, this is how you handle those situations. And what happens is, knowledge is this. We all know what we shouldn't do. Solomon is saying this. I'm tired. He says, I don't want to just hear that you know what to do. Solomon says, I want to see you do it. That's wisdom. When you take what you know and you make it practice. When you make it habit. When you make it daily life. And so what Solomon is doing is he's watching his people constantly make the same bad choices. Or the same just mediocre choices over and over and over. And he says, listen, I got a little advice for you. You want things to change? You want things to be different? Load up more shit. Try something new. Go a different direction. Right? Go a different direction. But God, we never went that way before. Just go a different direction. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. Just go a different. That's the point. Right? God says, isn't that the point? Didn't you commit to follow me, that wherever I lead, you said you would follow? But we as Christians say, yeah, up until this point. Yes, Lord, I will follow you until I can't see anymore. Or until it doesn't make sense, or I don't trust it. And the Lord says, well, that's not faith. That's not following. That's just me using me as a convenience to get what you want until something gets really hard, and then you're out. Following Jesus is following him even when it doesn't make sense to you. Same as when Abraham was called and God said, go. Where am I going? I'll tell you when you get there. Same as Jesus when he told Peter, feed my sheep. Jesus, what are you talking about? You'll know one day. You will understand that. Feed my sheep. And then that day when Peter became a pastor in Jerusalem, you know what? You know what happened? That conversation clicked and he goes, I get it. It was preparing me way back here for now. Guys, think about your life right now where you sit. What did God pull you through in the past that has made you be able to sit where you are today? And yet, in our current circumstance, I often find myself whining, griping, complaining about where I am, but I should remind myself, in the future, I'll look back and go, that's what God used to put me. Amen. And that's what Solomon's saying. If we can understand that now, it would help us a lot to understand that God is preparing, grooming, and nurturing, and molding us into his image. And that we're going to learn here in a couple minutes. There's a verse that says, enjoy all the good days of your life. But Solomon ends that verse by saying, but understand days of darkness will be near. It means when you have a good day, grab it. Hold on to it. Don't let go. Because there will be a bad day. I don't know if that's true. Isn't it? I've seen, think about the weather. Especially this crazy. Man, 1 second it's 112 degrees, not a cloud in sight, and then 30 minutes later, you're in a rainstorm. Solomon says, life's like that sometimes. Life's like that. Sometimes you plan for a hot, sunny day, and then you'll find yourself in a tsunami. Going, what in the life is like that? Life is like that with your health. Life is like that with your job. Life is like that with your emotions. Guys, people, 1 second like this, 1 second like this. Life is hard. That's why Solomon says, when you have a good day, you've been blessed. When you have a day that you've experienced and you can put your head down at night and go, today was awesome. God says, that's a blessing. And you hold on to those days in the darkness. You hold on to those moments, those memories when it's hard. So he says this, if you want things to be different, listen, Christian, you might have to do something different. You can't keep having the same type of relationship with Jesus that you've had for the last 10 years and think that you're going to get different results. You're going to have to actually change something in your life. Give him more time, pray more, serve in a ministry, do something. Because just thinking that you do the same thing every day and you start losing what? Heart, don't you? Pastor's dad asked, I overheard it. He was asking somebody else this week, but I heard it and it stirred in me. But he asked this question. Are you following or do you love Jesus more today than when you were first saved? And I'm not going to tell you what this person said. But I thought to myself, man, I haven't been asked something like that in a long time. And most of the people I know are Christians. And very rarely are the Christians, and in my life, and maybe me too, and to an extent, are not very concerned with my spiritual well-being. Most Christians, and we can say this about our church, we love one another, we all know each other, we assume the spiritual condition of one another. I assume Steve's healthy. I assume Miguel's walking because he showed up. And if you're at church our size, if you show up in time, you're doing good. I ain't praying the Lord. But you know what? Maybe he's not. Maybe Miguel's suffering and having a very hard time, and when he comes to church and smiles, and we think that he's, Miguel's goofy, and maybe that's a defense for, I'm having a hard time right now, but no one's asked. Or something's going on, and guys, we can't assume with one another. It's good to engage, and it's good to ask questions and to say, hey, how are you in the Lord? What's new? I don't need the details. I don't need the dirty nitty-gritty. That's between you and your spouse or you and your accountability partner. But it's good to go, what's up? How are you and Jesus do? And that made me think this week is, man, you know what? If I'm being 1,000% honest, there probably are areas in my heart that have grown colder than when I first got saved. Maybe sometimes areas of personal, daily evangelism. You know what I mean? Like, as I go to Home Depot or Walmart trying to engage with somebody with the gospel. And sometimes in my life, I don't do it like I should. Sometimes I feel I'm too busy or too pressured. I got too much going on, or I don't know, and we make excuses, and we allow these things to grow cold in our hearts. We don't mean to, right? It's not like I'm purposely rebelling against the Lord and I'm setting out to be defiant and I'm not going to walk with the Lord. Right. But it's just slowly over time. All the while attending the church and going to Bible study and doing the things still that our heart for the things of the Lord. That's why it's good to have guys or people in your life that will lovingly poke you. Say, I'm not judging you, I'm asking. The only time you're ever going to get offended is when you're wrong. Someone asks you, well, my God, man, what do you think's wrong with me? I'm not like living in Hosea. Whoa. That's a question, man. Question. But this person I heard that answered my dad was very honest with his answer. This is where I'm at. It's not where I need to be, but this is where I'm at. Most people can't answer that way. Most people don't answer that way. They just make woo! Solid, man. I was cloud nine with the Lord this morning. We were awesome. Jesus goes, well, where were you? I wasn't there. I don't know what experience you have. That wasn't part of me. Because we get this thing that we have this emotional response, and that's Jesus. I had goosebumps. That was Jesus. My hair is like that was Jesus. Oh man. You know what? When you experience Jesus when you're completely obedient? When you're obediently walking with the Lord, and your spirit bears witness with His, that you two are on the same page, that's when you experience the Lord. That's when you have that relationship. That's when you have it. That's what Solomon's saying. Sometimes in life we make Christianity too complicated. It's not hard. Yet it's the hardest thing we'll ever do. But here's what he means is as you live your life, he says, when you consider me in your decisions. Let me ask you this question. And this is maybe for some guy, but before I went to work with my dad, when the Lord led me, the Lord him, I was working at Home Depot 40 to 50 hours a week during the day, and I was working another 20 to 30 hours at night at Blockbuster. Just when I first got married, first had kids, that's what I had to do to make ends meet. Work at Home Depot and Blockbuster. I'd go to work at I'd have to be at Home Depot at 6, get off at 3, be at Blockbuster by 5, and get off at midnight. I did that for almost 2 years. And I was ready to stop doing that. And so when my dad offers, hey, why don't you come work with me? We'll see if you can, this is for you, if you want to learn the business, take over, do that kind of thing. You know what? You know what my flesh wanted to do? Oh, I ain't coming to work today. Y'all be fine. No. You're fasting and praying. It looks good. It sounds good. But you know what? Not everything that looks good and sounds good is from the Lord. Right. You've got to remember that. I tell James all the time, the devil blesses too. Sure. The devil blesses too. The devil will bless you to keep you out of fellowship with the Lord. The devil will bless you to keep you away from the Lord. The devil will give you the desires of your heart, the fleshly ones. He has no problem feeding into that. And sometimes as Christians, we are naive because we're not walking with the Lord very closely, and we think that comes from God. And this is God's will, this is God's blessing. Listen, I tell James, if you had to do something in your conscience that you did not feel comfortable with, and it still worked out in your advantage, God did not bless that. That's not how it works. And the Lord tells me the same thing. If ever in your life you achieved something or did something, but in my spirit, I was pierced by the Lord, that was not a good. I don't care how much I can say, God did it. No. That's not how it works. So Solomon, listen guys, there's some practical things that we're just not practically doing as believers. And we're wanting this great, miraculous thing from the Lord, but we're not doing the little things, the practical things. The thoughts in verse 1 is repeated, but then it's unpacked, if you will, or unfolded in verse 2. Verse 2 is a commentary on the very first verse. So Solomon says the verse, and then he explains the verse in verse 2. He puts it like this: divide your portion to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what misfortune may occur on this earth. Here Solomon is saying this, that we need to diversify our investments. We need to try different things. We need to be bold in our faith. We need to be confident in the Lord. And the phrase there, you see it says 7 or even to 8. This is the Old Testament pattern. This is Old Testament math. Didn't know we were going to go to math school today, but here we are. This is the Old Testament equation of this. X plus 1. Meaning any number plus 1. 7 or 8. Meaning anything that can be greater than that. So you can add this to this and make it greater. That's what Solomon is saying. This is what he's trying. He's trying to say this. Try anything and everything in life that you can. And keep adding to your life more knowledge and wisdom. Meaning this, Steve. Maybe you've been doing this certain thing your whole entire life, but if someone gives you the opportunity to learn something new, Solomon says take it. Don't just, no, that's not for me. Like with Sky. If it's not a French fry or a chicken nugget, she will not eat it. When Dee and I first got together dating and got married, Sky asked me, that girl lived either on Jack in the Box tacos or breadsticks. And when Dee and I got married, I said, she can't be doing that. She's gonna die. And so she slowly started to venture out. But even now, her palate and what she will eat is very limited. But I'm constantly trying to say, here, Sky, try this. Well, I don't like it. How do you know? I just know. No, you don't. This analogy, what Solomon's saying is this: like Sky is to food, sometimes we are with things in the Lord. The Lord will lead you and say, I want you to try this. I want you to do this. I don't like it. How do you know? I just know. Right. Because you know what? So-and-so goes there, and I don't like that. So I know I don't like that. It's not for me, Lord. Well, God, it's just not my thing. That's not my kind of church. Those aren't my kind of people. God says, I want you to try. But much like Sky, will say, no. I don't like the way it looks. Or also, I don't like the way it smells. Which I get food sometimes can have a weird smell, but it tastes very good. Like these, you cannot stand the smell of popcorn, or she will eat it like crazy. I think, Kevin smells that. Popcorn's amazing. I eat a bag a day. It's an addiction. Popcorn rehab, man. I love it. I love popcorn. They don't have that? Oh. Well, y'all might have to have what's that called? An intervention. I like it though. You know, it's relatively healthy. You don't put a ton of butter and salt and junk on it. It's a pretty healthy snack. I like it.
We'll have an intervention on bringing popcorn.
I like that kind of deal. Here it is. He says this. He says, put different things, invest in different things, try different things. Don't always keep doing the same thing. Don't put all your money in the same thing. Don't always do this. Because he says, try 7 or 8. Do something else. Do something new. Why? Because look, he says, for you know not what disaster may happen on the earth. He says, you know what? You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, do you?
No.
I just read that on Proverbs 27. I read that this month. On the very first verse, it says, do not what? Boast about tomorrow, for no man knows what a day will bring. He's saying this, listen, if you're putting all your money in the stock market, guess what might happen? It might crash. Or if you put all your money in your investment in loans and houses and mortgages, you know what? The housing market could dry up. It could burn up. He's saying, listen, whatever you're fully putting all your stock into, whatever you're putting all your faith into, could fail. So he says, first, put all your faith and stock and trust in the Lord Jesus Christ. That's number one, spiritually. That's got to be it. But then he's going practically worldly. He's saying that branch out, do some things, invest, pray about it, save, do different things. Here's what happens. He says the phrase, you do not know, is found 4 times in these 4 verses. So God is wanting us to hear something this morning. There's a lot we don't know, isn't there?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Robert, tell me exactly what you're going to be doing 3 hours from now. Exactly. I mean, to the T. What you're going to be wearing, who you're going to be with, what room you'll be in. What are you going to be doing?
The same Hebrew that we.
Okay, but what do you want to be doing 3 hours from now? School, whatever you want to do.
Tell about what church.
So Robert's plans 3 hours from now is to call his girlfriend, but he cannot tell us for sure that's what's going to happen, or where he's going to be, or that's what he's going to do. That's Solomon's plan. We make plans, we make schedules, we want to do, but you know what doesn't mean that's what's going to happen. Because a lot can change between now and 3 hours from now. A lot does happen now. Phone calls happen, accidents happen, life changes, hearts stop beating. As things happen in life, and Solomon says you plan and you prep and you get ready and you be the very best you can be, but you know what, when it all said and done, it doesn't matter. Because anything can change, anything can happen in a moment. Anything can happen. We don't know. Here's what we give ourselves this false thing that we're in control of our life. I got money in the bank. I got this. My kids with this. I got clothes. I'm moving up in my job. Everybody likes me. I'm serving my church. Man, I am doing it. God says you have no clue what's about to happen in your life. See, it's just a sermon right now until it happens. Right? It's just something I'm saying. God might be, it's God's word. Yeah, I get it. Nobody's talking about it. I get it. It don't mean much until bam, it means something. That's why sermons like this, you got to put into your heart and into your mind, because when that happens, you need to be able to let the Holy Spirit pull them out and say, this is why this was preached, or this is why I was there, or this is why I heard this on that day, because this was coming. This was coming. This was for me. See, don't think like that God doesn't have a plan and a reason why you're here at this church to hear this sermon. I believe God is sovereign, and He ordains people to be where they need to be in a moment. Even though we're free to choose where we're going, God is sovereign. And He ordains those times and moments. See, the thing that we don't, he says, you do not know, is a theme in Ecclesiastes. I don't know if you guys picked up, but in every chapter he said it, you do not know. There's something you don't know. There's something God's doing that you don't know. And he's going to go into it a little deeper here. But here's what happens. He says this, God and his works and ways cannot be completely known by sinful man, but we can fully trust because we know him. See, I may not fully understand or know what's going to happen in the future, but I can have confidence in it because I fully entrust Jesus. Because I trust him, I can trust him in the future. No matter what that looks like. No matter what that looks like for you. No matter what you're venturing out and trying new, if your faith and trust is in Jesus, he's got you. And here's what's really hard in life sometimes that we've got to swallow. Sometimes we're going to fail. Right. Sometimes we're going to fall short. Here's what really hurts. Sometimes we're not going to succeed. Doesn't mean that God wasn't in it. That's something God taught us, allowed us to go through. So we teach our kids, God only makes winners. Guys, I don't know if you've read the Bible, but a lot of people lose. I mean, not just like their house or their reputation. I'm talking their lives. Their lives. In the world's eyes, they were not winners. Paul was not a winner. He was thrown in jail and beaten and ridiculed. The world did not view Jesus as a winner. And the religious people of his day, remember, they even mocked him. They said, if you're loved by God so much, if you're really his son and he loves you so much, why don't you get yourself down from that cross? If God really loves you so much and you're so, well, like you say you are, why doesn't God help you now? And that was the religious crowd. But you know what? Jesus was perfectly in the center of God's will. Losing. As hard as it was. Sometimes as Christians, guys, we're going to feel like we're losing. Because you know what? That's what the world will do. That's what it's supposed to do. That's what sin does. But you gotta ask your mind, where God wants you. And if you can answer yes to that, it doesn't matter what else is going on around you. Because much like Jesus, in that moment was losing. What happened 3 days later? Resurrection. God can resurrect, redeem, and restore anything. Anything. If you're willing to trust him, even when you feel like you're losing. Christianity doesn't produce a bunch of winners. You know what? We are victorious in the end because Jesus is victorious, but it doesn't mean we're going to be victorious in every situation, every business venture, every relationship. Doesn't mean I'm going to come out and conquer it. I'm going to lose some. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to sin. I'm going to learn. And God's grace will be there. God's mercy will be there. But you got to be willing. You got to be willing to admit, I don't know. He says this, God's expectation is that we invest our money, time, and talent wisely. Let me ask you a question. Maybe, I know most of you, and y'all know me. And none of us in this room are rich. Okay, let's be honest. None of us in this room are throwing around money like it don't matter. Our money, we got to budget our money. We got to plan our money, and we got to, our paychecks are important, and we got to invest and do the right decisions by them, and do all that kind of stuff. And so I get it, I'm there with you. But I wrote this down, I want to say, look for the best means of investing the money that the Lord has entrusted to you. Don't fall for any get-rich-quick schemes or multi-level marketing business, because before you know, you spend all your money. This is the biblical view that Solomon's saying about money, business, venturing, things like this. Since God alone knows the future, we need to make our plans, use our brains, study the situation, take all factors into consideration, seek wise counsel, do the best you can, and then leave the results in Jesus' hands. Dad and I talk a lot about stuff that, where faith and practicality meet. Listen, sometimes I just got to make the best choice I can and trust in the Lord. Because some things and some, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what the best answer is, the best course of action is. So I'll say, okay, Lord, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to trust you. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to trust you to correct me. And if I'm right, I'm going to trust that you'll lead me. But either way, I've got to make a choice and decision. But here's what's going on. He wants us to follow. See, how many of you, before you do something that's life-altering, seek counsel? Try to get wisdom from other people. Don't just, well, I'm going to do it. I got faith. You know what? No, that's stupid. God says faith is not stupidity. Faith is doing your research, praying, fasting, getting your elders and pastors involved, getting people praying for you, asking the hard questions, making a budget. And then saying, okay, can we practically do this? And where's the faith required to move out? All right, God, this is our plan. This is what we're going to do. Amen. Trust you, whatever happens. This is after you follow those steps. Verses 3 through 6. The second thing Solomon says is not only we need to diversify our investments, number 2, he says you need to seize your opportunities. Seize your opportunities. Grab a hold of things when they come to you. When God sends something to you, take it. Grab a hold of it. Learn it. Watch it. Let's read verses 3 through 6 and break them down. He says this. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves on the earth. I mean, that's just real. It rains. Okay, I get it. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. So, if a tree falls, it's going to what? Hit the ground. But sometimes preachers, they got to say stuff like this. You know what I mean? Solomon, and his nickname was what? The preacher. And sometimes you just got to get real practical with people. Like, hey man, if you put that tree down, it's going to fall. You know, if you see black clouds full of water, you're going to have to know eventually it's going to fall out of the sky. Keeps on going. It says this in verse, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. As you do not know the way of the Spirit comes in the bones of the womb of a woman and a child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. In the morning sow your seed, and at evening withhold not your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, this or that, or whether both alike will be. Human experience and humans experience. But even though we experience things, we experience moments, we cannot predict or control our future. I can just experience right now. I cannot experience 10 seconds from now. Now let your brain melt on this for a moment. 10 seconds from now is where the Lord lives. An hour from now, the Lord is already there. What? God. He's already seen my life from beginning to end. He's seen this world come and go. He's already lived, he's already been, it's already happened. We're experiencing moment by moment. That's why we have no control over everything. So why is it so hard? Why do we doubt God? In our moment of weakness and crisis and frailty and immaturity, and we don't think God has it under control. We don't say, why me? It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. It's like, I've got it all. I've got you under control. I've got it. I've got it. Seize your opportunity. Solomon's saying this, we as Christians, we need to be able to distinguish between those things about which we can do nothing and those things that we can. You know what he's saying? There's going to be things in life that you have no control over. You know what one of those things is? People's actions. I cannot make people be the way I want them. I can't make them respond the way I want to. I can't You have no control over people, how they respond or react. You have temporary kind of control as kids when they're little. But even then, it's a fight. It's a wrestle. It's a struggle. Because you see the sin nature. I will obey because I don't want to be punished or disciplined. It's not because I want to obey. Do we respond to the Lord that same way? Okay, Lord, I'll do it. I'll clean my room so I don't get grounded. I'll do the dishes and I'll pay my cell phone, but it's not that I want. See the difference? See the difference? That's what Solomon is asking. Well, you see the difference? He says, if the clouds are full, they pour out rain. And when a tree falls, it's going to hit the ground. So he says if there's life things that we can control and life things we cannot control, we need to figure out the difference. And worry about the things we can control and not try to control the things that we can't. Check this out. He said this. The point of all this is simple. Don't waste your time trying to be God. How many times have we God in our lives? There's a situation, there's something going on, and we freak out, we go crazy, we try to fix it, we try to do it, and we realize, you know what, this is simply something that's in God's hands and God has to do. Guys, there are things in my life that I just got to accept that I can't fix. I cannot change and I cannot do anything, but there's also things in my life that the Holy Spirit says, but that you can change, that you can do, that can be amended, and you, so don't pop out easy. Well, that's just my person, that's just the way I'm good, that's just the way I'm wired. Yeah, Jesus came to change all that. Jesus came to change your environment. He came to change the way you think. He came to change the way you do things. That is what he came to do. But guys, there are some things like the weather. I can't make it do nothing. I can rain dance and scream and pray and cuss and fight and do everything I can, but I can't make it do anything different. But in our lives, when the storms come, we think we can cease and be still, and it lashes you, mows you over. The only one with that ability and authority is Jesus and Jesus alone. And if your life and the storm is raging, he is the only one, if he wills it, to say, cease, be still. Or he's going to say, hang on, I'll see you on the other side. That's up to him. That's up to him. But we as Christians think that because we know Jesus, that in some part, in some way, we can become Jesus. We can be author and we determine our future. Solomon says, no, be careful. Don't waste your time trying to be God. Just follow. Just listen to him. Just obey him. Just watch him. Psalms 24:1 says this, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Meaning the earth is his and everything in it. Above it, in it, below it, if you see it, it's his. He watches over. Guys, I don't know about you, but modern technology has been amazing in showing us the vastness of God's creation. It is huge. We are nothing. That's why Solomon said, even in his limited knowledge of not even knowing how vast the universe is, saying, we're just a breath. I mean, we're a vapor, we're here, we're gone. Because, guys, think about the universe, the stars that God's made. It's huge. We can't control any of it. God said this. Jesus came and looked at the faces of 12 men, even one that was going to betray him. He said this, out of all the stars that I know by name, of all my creation, he says, you're my favorite thing. And guys, the day that you were saved, the day that your faith was birthed and born and reborn in Jesus Christ, that is the conversation that took place the day of your salvation. Jesus says, out of all the things that I know, you're my favorite. Guys, that should instill some value and worth. God, we know stars by name. He says, you're my favorite thing. You're my favorite friend. So guys, I know you've got decisions to make. I know there's times in life where it's very, very stressful. But if it's a God decision, let God make it. If it's something you can make, you make it. Don't try to control the things that only God can control. Let God be God. He can concern himself with his responsibilities. When we do that, we will then realize that we do not have to concern ourselves with his job. I don't know. That's what gets me in trouble. You and I usually come to the Lord, or I'm trying to do this less, but especially in my past, is there's a situation or something, and you know what I go to the Lord after the fact? Usually when I'm in trouble or I need bailed out or I've made a bad choice, I go, God, I did this. Instead of coming to him first and say, this is what's up, this is what's going on. No, it's always afterwards. Usually when I'm drowning or trying to find my way out of something, and okay, God, now I need your help. He was like, where was I in the beginning? This could have been avoided. This could have been different if you would have come to me at the beginning. Verse 4, Solomon writes, he who watches the wind will not sow, and he who looks at the clouds will not reap. This proverb is a criticize. He's a little sharp here. This is a criticism. Solomon's criticizing here. He says, those who are overly cautious. Anybody in here overly cautious? At least you're honest. Like, there's something, and you think of every way possible it can fail. You can think of there's a lot of good, but you're the person that sees the bad. You know, like, well, we can move here. Yeah, but what about this, and this, and this, and this? And you're like, yes, there's those are there. But you're always focused on those. He says, don't be. He who watches the wind will not sow, and he who looks at the clouds will not reap. The farmer who waits for the most opportune moment to plant, like when there's no wind to blow away the seed, and reap when there is no rain to run the ripe harvest, guess what? That farmer will never do anything but sit around and wait for the right moment. This is what he's saying in practical terms. Sometimes Christians, sometimes believers, sometimes friends and family, this is what he says. Sometimes you claim you're waiting on the Lord, but what you're doing is you're not acting on what he's already told you. You know the answer. You've already, but you're claiming to other people, well, I'm waiting, because you're too scared to move on what God's already showed you to do. God says, this is what I want you to do, and you're just, so you continue to wait. God says, plant the seed. Well, it might rain. Yeah, it might. Well, I might throw it, the wind take it away. Yeah, it might. But that's not the point. What did he ask you to do? That's the point. The obedience is the point. See, this goes back to you can't worry about if the wind takes it away, who's that on? Wrong. Who controls the wind? Wrong. Who controls you being obedient? Go throw the seed. Okay? So when I go throw the seed, whether the wind takes it or it doesn't, I've been one. So what's the key? Obedience. Not whether or not the wind and the rain is going to take away and everything that could possibly go wrong in a scenario. It's, okay, Lord, you said it. He says this, Solomon tells us, do not be like this farmer. Yes, be cautious, but don't be the person that's too scared to move for the Lord. Now, so many Christians are saved, but they're afraid to do anything for Jesus. They won't move out of their safe little bubble and their safe little church and their safe little routine. God says, go, and they say, not till you tell me where I'm going. Faith, relationship with Jesus, and I'm learning this. It's you know a lot less than you think you. As a follower, as a believer in Jesus, man, I really don't know much at all. I'm learning as I go. You know what I'm really learning at 32? And I spend a lot more time repenting. Because I've realized that in 15, 16, I've picked up some things that the Holy Spirit's starting to try to chisel me. You know, slow down, work on the thing. You know what? For me, a lot of repentance, it has to go in here. My war zone is up here. Either with what I feel about people and I don't say it, what I think, my fears, my doubts, my insecurities, my anger, my proclivities, my anxiousness. You see, the Holy Spirit, when you're really walking with Jesus, you'll find that repentance is a part of your daily life. Because if you're not who you're supposed to be, you're not where you need to be, if you're honest with Him, you'll find that repentance is not a dirty word. It doesn't mean you're some rebellious sinner who's rejecting God. It means you're walking with Him most likely. If you're living a life of repentance, it means you're walking with Jesus because He's showing you things that need to be different and changing in your life. And that's okay. But Solomon says, if you don't take risk, you're not going to have a reward. You're the guy that's always sitting on the sidelines going, that'll never work. This will never work. It's never going to happen. Well, you know what? There's just too much bad. There's too many reasons why we shouldn't. Well, if God said it, that's reason enough. I don't care if there's 99 things the world says it will fail. If God says you do it, that's all you need. But you got to make sure He's the one that said it. There is no better time than the present to step out in faith. If you've been waiting, quit waiting. Today's the day. Okay, Lord, today I'm moving forward in my faith. If I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and you've been clear to me that I haven't been able to step out of the boat, if I haven't been able to move because I've been afraid, or I've been doubtful, or I've been scared, or I've been living in sin, then today is the day that I'm moving forward. Today is the day that I'm stepping out in faith. Today is the day. Are you not doing something you know Jesus has asked you to do? Are you presently just standing or sitting or waiting, but you know in your heart of hearts where God has asked you to be obedient, that you're not doing it? Solomon says we need to be diligent, constant. If we wait until we have time to do something, we never will. Well, I'll get around to that when I have time. Guess what will happen? You'll never get around to it. You know what? In life, you have to make time. You have to, the phrase I use a lot is, I'll carve out time. Meaning I'm going to have to, my 24 hours, I'm going to have to make this fit for this situation. The perfect opportunity begins now. Everybody wait for that perfect opportunity. Solomon says if you're alive and breathing, it's a perfect opportunity. He says this, don't put what God has placed in your heart off any longer. If there's someone you need to call, but you haven't, if there's someone you need to forgive, but you haven't, if there's someone you need to seek forgiveness from, but you haven't, if there's something with the Lord that you haven't made right, someone says, don't put it off. Don't wait any longer. Make it right. Get right. Check this out. Don't put off in your heart what God has told you to do today. There is no perfect time to have kids. Isn't that true? Think about it. Man, well, we're going to plan, we're going to save up. You never have enough money. You never have enough space. You're always scared to have that first kid, or the second kid, or for my case, the fifth kid, And I told Dee, where are we going to put them all? Because, they're getting to the age where they all want their own space and own room and teenagers. And, I had a huge momentous parental thing happening this weekend. Dad, I like being a dad. Boys, cool, I get boys. This guy, man, that's like Chinese. Speaking a foreign language. And we were getting dressed yesterday. We had to go out and do some stuff for Dee's family to get ready to come over. And I hear Dee, Cody, get in here. I'm about to tell you this. What is it? We got to go to the store right now. I said, for what? Gotta go buy Sky, bro. I said, oh God. And Sky way worse than me.